Jazzcast Pros.
Welcome to License to Love. I'm Lori McKnight, Executive Director of Families Thrive.
And I'm Veronica Black, Director of Program Services.
Together, our mission is to demystify the process of gaining your license to foster or adopt in New York State.
And to empower you with the tools, insight, and confidence to open your heart and home. Today's episode, we're going to focus on the process. And we have a special guest here, my good friend, Michelle.
Hey, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Michelle Hinds. I've been with Families Thrive for 4 years, and I am a home finder trainer with Families Thrive.
And you have a little more experience. Don't hold back.
I'm also a foster and adoptive parent and was a foster parent for about 10 years before adopting my youngest 2 children.
So I asked that you join us today because of your, not just your expertise, but because of your personal experience. And we know that this is a passion of yours. I want to jump right in. So, we have families who are interested in learning more about the process and everything. And some are, just nervous. They think that the process is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the beginning?
Yeah.
How they start off?
Absolutely.
I know you're the trainer, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can understand how it could seem like it would be kind of a daunting process, but it's actually quite simple. So if someone were to give us a call and want more information, we would be able to set up a Zoom, a phone call, or they can come right into our office and we can sit down and talk about the process and get to know them a little bit more. They can get to know us a little bit more, and we can start just sharing what it's going to look like. So, after that process, if they decide to move forward after getting, just a glimpse of what Families Thrive is about, what the process steps are, then we would set them up and let them know when our next training is.
So it sounds like, Michelle, that you can do the informational meeting over the phone.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And having the informational meeting can trigger some questions for them. And we hope that in that process that we can answer any questions they have or any concerns they have and kind of make them feel a little bit more comfortable with the process.
What is your experience with the training process? I always say that, we're like no other.
Yeah.
We're one of a kind.
Yeah. We absolutely are.
We invest in our families just like we want them to invest in our youth.
Yeah. Yeah. So our training is a 10-week training, and it sounds like, a lot. It's 30 hours. And it's just 3 days or 3 hours per week for 10 weeks. And in that process, we really focus on getting to know the families that come in and teaching them a lot about trauma, because all of our kids have experienced trauma in their lives. And so the training that we provide is through New York State. It's called NTDC. And it really focuses on helping potential foster parents parent kids who have experienced trauma, loss, and grief. And it gives a lot of specifics on how to handle certain behaviors. It teaches them a lot about the brain and how trauma has affected the brain in our kids, and how these potential foster parents can really work with kids knowing what they know or they're going to learn about trauma, loss, and grief and how it affects kids.
Okay. So how do you handle those families who will reach out and say, well, I've already raised 6 kids, or 5 kids plus, my niece's kids. Why do I have to sit in a training class, or they think that it's a parenting class? How do you deal with those type of people?
So, I've raised my own kids, but I also have learned in the process of my own journey in fostering that kids that experience trauma, loss, and grief, it's a different parenting style, because we have to work with what they've been handed in their lives. We have to work with the trauma that they've experienced. And some of the things that we know as parents aren't going to work with kids who have experienced this in their lives. So, I just encourage them to be open to a different way of parenting, because you're parenting someone else's child. You're parenting kids who have experienced trauma, and you have to understand the process of, nope, not the process of, you have to understand the trauma that they've experienced and how it affects them physically, emotionally, and how we can parent them while they're with us in our home.
Right, right. So there's also another process, the clearance process.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So we do 3 different background checks so that you can be cleared to become a foster parent. And that's just for the protection of our kids. We just want to make sure that, our kids are going to be in the safest home possible. We do what's called an SEL, and we do an SCR, and we do a fingerprint check. And all of those are just different types of background checks that we do.
So during that process, is it everyone in the home that's required?
Anybody over the age of 18 is required to have the 3 background checks done.
And what about references, stuff like that?
So for the foster potential adoptive parent, we do ask that you give us three names of references that can speak on their capabilities as a parent, their, and any information they can give of what they know and their financial capabilities, their interpersonal capabilities with other people. That helps us get to know them on another level.
What about the application process?
So we do have quite a lengthy application, but again, it's so that we know what we need to know about them. So we have an application for them to fill out. We do require a medical form filled out by their doctor. And that's just to make sure that they're healthy and they're capable, that their doctor says they're capable of taking care of children. We do require and ask for employment references for each of the foster parents in the home. And then there's some other forms to fill out that are just asking about, the qualities of foster children that you would like in your home or that you think that you can support in your home. We do ask for identification, and if you're married, a marriage license. If you have pets, we require, the vaccination records for pets. So it seems like a lot, but it's actually a pretty easy process.
Right. So after families complete the process, they've done the training. Well, they've started with the application and informational meeting and all that. They have completed the training. What then? What happens after that?
So during the process, we do a safety assessment of the home. We'll come to your home, and we have a New York State form that we just look through your home and just make sure that it is up to standards for New York State and having children placed in your home. Because some of the things that we think, for our kids that we might think are okay, New York State might need it to be just a little bit different. So we come in and we walk through the home with you, and you show us your home and the room that you're going to have utilized for foster kids. And then if there's anything that needs to get done, there's time during the training for you to get some of those things taken care of. And then after the training and the application process, there's a little bit of paperwork on our end. We like to kind of take everything that we've learned about you and put it into, some paragraphs about you, a narrative. Then we would be able to, after we've gone through all those steps, we've done the safety check, we have all the paperwork, then we would be able to open your home so that you can have children placed in your home. And we'd like to have that done in a short amount of time once your training is finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for families who may only live in a 2-bedroom apartment, are they able to go process?
That is okay, as long as there is a separate space for kids to be in. It doesn't matter if it's a full house, a half a house, an apartment, as long as the youth have their own space in your home. It doesn't matter if you're single, married, divorced. You're you can be a parent and support foster kids.
So after my placement, my training, everything has been completed, then what do you offer? So I have this kid in my home.
Mm-hmm.
What next?
Yeah, so we offer a lot of in-home support for you. We come into your home multiple times a month. So the child would have support from Families Thrive, and that person would come into the home minimum of 2 times a month to support the child, work with the child, talk with the child. And then you would have a home finder that would come in to your home at least once a month and just check on you and see how things are going. We would do a quick little safety inspection, make sure that we're all still up to New York State standards, and offer supports. If the foster parent is struggling with certain things, we can offer different trainings. We can walk them through some steps and how to overcome some of the challenges that they have.
Awesome.
Yeah. Once a month, we have additional training for our foster families to come into our office and learn more about different aspects of being a foster parent. So we would have support groups with other foster parents coming in, so our new foster parents can learn from some of our seasoned parents who have been through the things that maybe they've gone through since they've had a placement, or some questions that they might have. It's nice to be able to get information from someone who's actively going through it. So we would have additional training in our office.
Right. So I know when I went through the process, it was 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But they also gave us the opportunity to do it in 5 weeks by doing 2 classes a week. And I know some agencies offered a Saturday. One weekend.
Yeah.
So say it's a Thursday night. I can't do it Thursday night. I can't come in person. I got to work.
Yeah.
Do you guys make any accommodations for those of us who?
Yeah, absolutely. The program that we use, it's very flexible, so that if you're not able to come in during the week, but you have Saturday mornings available, we would definitely be able to set something up and possibly do a full class on a Saturday, or we could do one-on-one training with families via Zoom or in person. They could come to our office and do a training, or I could come to their home and do a training. So we like to make it as flexible as we can, because we know that people are busy. People have work and school, and some have families already that they're trying to juggle all the things, right? We're going to add something to that, but we want to make it flexible so that it works for them.
So you're willing to do that one-on-one?
Yeah, absolutely. One-on-one, most definitely. We always think that it's great to meet other foster parents in the training classes, but we definitely can do one-on-one trainings.
Nice. Okay.
So we think it's very important to have ongoing trainings, because there's always going to be things that come up, right? And having a support group, having trainings is going to be a place where you can ask the questions and learn the things. But our Tuesday trainings, we offer them the last Tuesday of the month, and it's consistent. So people have that to look forward to. They know the last Tuesday of the month that we have training opportunities, but we also allow our families and encourage them to bring their kids to the trainings. We have a room where it is fully staffed with people from our office, so that the kids can go back there and they can play, they can see other kids. Sometimes that's encouraging for kids in care, to see other kids in care and to meet them. Bonuses, we also will serve them pizza for dinner. So which the kids that come on a regular basis look forward to that. So yeah, I think, we do offer the trainings, but we also want to make those convenient, right? We don't want you to have to get a babysitter to come to that extra training a month. We want to make it convenient for you and something that's fun for the kids.
Well, I think that is amazing, because not all organizations offer that.
Right.
I think it's very important that we give families the opportunity to bring their kids, because finding a sitter is not always easy.
Right.
And, and in the past, we heard a lot of, I don't have a sitter, or I can't come, and, I don't have anyone to watch the baby, or
Yeah.
And it's just not acceptable, because these trainings are required.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit to the family and the child. So that puts it back on us. What can we do to help, this family make life a little easier for them. They have 3 kids or 4 kids or whatever the case may be, so allowing them to bring the kids and then providing dinner,
That
that's a
bonus.
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 Yes, yes. So that's why I hang around,
Yeah,
just so that
right.
I can,
You get that
you know.
pizza. And the
So,
kids definitely know
yeah.
it's coming and they look forward to it.
So what are some of the training topics that you guys cover?
Some of them are trauma parenting because that's always needed, and there's always different instances that come up that we can share. This is what we've done, and we've done trauma parenting. Our last one, actually, we did find the joy in fostering and helping our foster parents because it's a lot. It's heavy. Fostering is, and we want to help our families, even though there's the tough things that come. There's also a lot of joy in fostering, and we want to be able to focus on that. Let's see, trauma parenting, trauma behaviors in kids, and learning about the behaviors and learning, why our kids sometimes have these behaviors and what could be behind them. And they're different with every child. They're different with every family. There's some trainings that we do that are, ages and stages and learning about the different ages of children in foster care and the stages that they can be in, and learning how those are different from kids that haven't experienced trauma. And that kind of opens their eyes to, I have an 11-year-old, but he's acting like he's 6, or some of his behaviors are younger than his actual age. And we can help them kind of process that and understand why the behaviors are different. They don't fall into a typical category for kids who have experienced trauma, loss, and grief. So some of the trainings that we do. Yeah.
So tell me more about the placement process.
As we get to know you as a foster family, we get to know your strengths and your needs. And so when we have a phone call come in from a caseworker from a different county and asking us if we have a home available for a child, we get some information about that child, and we look at our homes and see which homes, can support this child. And some strengths of some foster parents, everybody has different strengths. So we kind of look at the whole picture to see if this is a home that we think would be a great fit. And we would call the foster parent and give them a little information about the child. So we would give them information about, all the great stuff, because we do find out some great stuff about the children, but we also find out what their challenges are, right? So we share the challenges that these children have with the potential foster family, and we give them an opportunity to either say yes or no. Sometimes they have more questions, and we can answer them as best we can with the information we have, because sometimes we get a lot of information, sometimes we don't get a lot of information, but we share what we have with them. And sometimes they're hesitant and they say no. And we like to, how can we support you in taking this child? If you don't think that you have the strengths, how can we support you to get those strengths to support this child coming into your home? And our foster families can say no to us. It's not, they don't have to say yes every time we call, but we want to encourage them to kind of open their minds to, this isn't initially the age that I thought I wanted to come into my home. This isn't the challenges that I thought I could handle. And by offering our supports, but ultimately it's their decision whether they're going to take a child into their home or not. When you say no, you say no, and we'll be calling again. We do have quite a bit of referrals that come into our office. So even if a family does, say no to a child, there are more children that we will be calling them about.
So I have said in the past that we don't place children based on the availability of a bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the child's needs and the family's strength, right? Try to make a perfect match, which we know that's not always the case, because like you said, you only know
what
the information that you're given, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to make the perfect match, but you do the best.
We do the best we can. And sometimes challenges come up that we might not have known about, but that's where our support comes in. That's where our case manager support comes in, into the home to to help work through some of the challenges that we didn't anticipate.
And you have a unique role as a home finder. I admire you, and I love the fact that you go into the home once you've heard that a family is struggling
Yeah,
with,
absolutely.
it could be managing behaviors, it could be anything. They need a better understanding of what trauma looks like, and I love how you go into the home and you work with those families individually, one-on-one, and it's like, hey, this is what you need to do. And then I know one particular family, you did a lot of mimicking what things should look like.
Yeah.
I love how you engaged with the family as a whole and were able to show them how to respond to certain, behaviors. And I just want to commend you for that. I think that's a strength of yours.
Thank you.
And it's a great.
No, I appreciate that.
I love that you're able and you're willing to go in and work with our families one-on-one.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that they see that there are other ways, and we're not just telling them what to do. We can actually come in and we can show them, try this, and sometimes we're going to try things and it's going to work for a week, and then they're going to come back, hey, Miss Michelle, this isn't working anymore. And so then we're like, all right, let's try this. Let's do this. Right. So just when we place a child in your home, you're not alone. We have a lot of people that will step up for the child, right? They have case managers from our office, but the foster family has their home finder. And that's where we come in to help them, right? Because they need support just as much as the child that's placed in their home needs support, right? And we don't know what to expect when a child is placed in a home. And so we're available to them to step in and support. We actually have an on-call, 24-hour on-call service, so that if there are, emergencies that come up, they can reach out to us 24/7 for support. With the 24-hour on-call support, our foster families in our office know everybody.
Yes.
So when they're calling the on-call, they're calling someone that they already know, right? And it's makes it a little bit more personal to be able to say, you know that person's face, you know them, you've talked to them before, to be able to share the challenges that you're having in the middle of the night, early in the morning, just after our normal hours. We're still available.
Right.
We're still available.
Yes,
to our
we are.
families.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
Mhm.
Yes, we are. And once they call that one person, it triggers. It's like a domino
Yeah.
effect. Then the next person is called, and then we call the
Yeah,
next person.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they have the support of the whole family,
We have
right?
everybody. We are. We got everybody.
Mhm.
And if they have a challenge and we're not quite sure myself, there's other people in our office that have a different experience that I can reach out to find out, okay, so this is what they're going through. I'm not really sure how to handle this. What is your experience? And I can share that with the foster families, because everybody in our office has a different experience to lean on and share with our foster families.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
that. Not just your expertise, but your personal experience. And I think that's what separates us from all the rest. Because
100%.
more than half our staff are experienced in some way. They have
in our homes, in
lived
our own
experience.
homes.
Yes. So I think that's a perk.
Absolutely.
I
We
think
can share that.
Yes. So I would love to work with an organization or an individual who can relate.
Yeah. And I think
who understands what I'm going through.
Yeah. And I have shared that, with a lot of our families, is that, I think 80% of our staff has experience in their homes with foster care. We've all have our professional experience, but that hands-on experience in our own homes, we can rely on to support our foster families.
Right. So when they call and they're screaming, you hear a kid in the background having a tantrum. It's like, hey, I understand. I've been there.
Been there. Been there, done that.
I've been there.
Right? How can I help you? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then you see that they're fully committed, then you've done your job right. They're not calling saying, hey, remove him
Come
or
get
her.
this
No,
kid,
they're calling
right?
saying, help me,
I need help.
help me to better understand, help
Yep.
me to meet his or her needs, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. But you have done a great job with our families, training them and
I
supporting
learned from the
them.
best.
So I wonder who did you learn from?
Okay, you.
Tease it. I appreciate you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for coming on
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
sharing. Okay.
All right.
And hopefully you'll join us again.
I will. Absolutely.
If you're curious, cautious, or already in the process, License to Love is your roadmap on this journey.
Every child deserves a safe, loving home, and we're here to help you gain your license to foster and adopt. Follow License to Love on the Jazzcast Pros Network, available wherever you get your podcasts.